Ladies and gentlemen, back from Washington, D.C. Ladies and gentlemen, I think they got something they want to say. I think they got something they want to say. Ladies and gentlemen, I think they got something they want to say. Washington, D.C. I think they got something they want to say.
Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Kirsten, the liberal liability. I don't know. I'm literally bad.
I like that one.
Okay, I'm bad. Okay, and I got my lovely co-host,
Nora Yaya, the liberal lobbyist.
Yes, and
Hello. It's everybody's favorite conservative in New York, Christopher Wright.
And we are Politics Podcast. Today is episode 29.
Ow.
All right.
Almost 30, man.
Yes. Thanks, everyone, for listening and sharing the podcast, leaving comments. Please continue to share it with friends and family. Follow us on Politics Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, Politics Pod. Find us on YouTube. And if you're listening to us on YouTube now, definitely hit subscribe, leave a comment, and hit like. And also, we're on all platforms. So you can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeart, Anchor. So feel free to do so and, let us know what you think of the show. So today we've got a guest all the way from, is it the Orange State? Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Oh, the Orange State,
Or is
right?
it the Sunshine State?
Sunshine. Yeah, Sunshine State. Okay, Sunshine State. From the Orange State. Sorry. I'm sorry.
We do have oranges. We do have oranges.
No, I know, but you guys have like really, really good oranges. Like, the Florida oranges are like the bomb.
Yeah.
They're good. They're very good.
So, we have Kyle here from let me get the show. Slightly Sophisticated Podcast. Is that right?
Yeah. Correct.
All right. And he is checking in from South Florida, and he is going to talk with us about some politics today. How are you, Kyle?
Woo.
Good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Welcome.
So, Kyle, tell us about yourself. Tell us what do you do down in Florida?
I don't talk about my work.
Okay, just tell me what you feel like sharing. Talk about.
I would consider myself a constitutionalist because I think the word conservative has been morphed a little bit recently, and so I can't really go along with that. And that's pretty much it. I have my podcast. I have guests on, like a long form conversation, and I talk politics and culture, and it's fun. We have fun, and everybody should check it out.
Awesome. Do you have guests on your show? What's the vibe of your show?
Yeah, just me and a guest, usually sometimes two, but it gets kind of hectic, as you guys probably know, when you have more than two people.
We know.
So I try to keep it just me and somebody else, and we just have a conversation, like a nice, relaxed conversation, and just talk about whatever's going on. Sometimes they're experts, sometimes not. Sometimes they're politogrammers or, whatever you call them.
Politogrammers.
Yeah. So make sure everyone tunes into his podcast
Yes.
as well.
Yeah, we're definitely. I did listen to one of your episodes, and it was very informative. So I was like, yeah, I definitely want to have you on here, and thank you for taking the time to listen, to get on the show and talk to us.
Great.
Yep.
All right, let's hop in.
Okay, so let's get into it. So, you guys ready to? Well, first of all, let's talk about everybody's week. How was everybody's week? Because we have to start with that.
You go ahead, Chris.
We're already late.
One of them weeks, huh? One of them weeks.
I know, right? Episode 29 is late. I'm sorry to the listeners that didn't get it on Wednesday. We literally been moving around crazy. So we finally got ourselves together. But, yeah. How was your week, Chris? Tell us.
That was my birthday.
Oh, right. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, December 11th. So, yeah, it was cool. I was thinking about going to Hershey for the Trump rally a couple days before. A couple of friends of mine, but I chilled out, for the week and just kind of laid low. And I went to see a movie called No Safe Spaces, which I recommend anybody out there to please go see that movie.
Okay.
Because it talks about pretty much the fascist behavior of the left on college campuses. Was the main focus, and how conservatives are getting shut down on college campuses, from the speakers to the students who are just activists who want to speak on the campus and getting beat up or threatened and all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's I think we all need to come together and just freedom of speech is freedom of speech. I don't care what side you're on, you should allow somebody to speak their mind. It's just
Totally.
it's America.
Totally. How about you?
This was quite a week. I've had comedy shows every night, and I'm just getting ready for this next budget year. I'm a lobbyist, so, I got my nonprofit clients. So we are strategizing to get these coins so that they can exist to serve our most vulnerable population. So, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And how are the shows doing? How were the shows?
Shows have been interesting. Fun. They're always
You're doing
fun.
a lot of like big shows, or are they like small?
It's been varying. There's like some big and then some like really hyper local. A lot of alternative shows, which is fun because I've been talking a little bit about politics in my comedy now, so that's fun.
Okay. All right.
Just a dab.
A little dab in that.
How about Kyle? How was your week?
My week's been great because my wife and kids went out of town.
Oh, celebration.
Yeah, I've been hanging out, enjoying the quiet.
Oh, so it's quiet. Okay. So it's quieter now. Awesome. So my week, as usual, just working in the music business. What did we do this week? I feel like we had holiday parties. A lot of holiday parties this week. So I went to a fun one this weekend. Got really, really wasted. Enjoyed myself. That's what I love about. Oh, I have to RSVP for now.
Did you get white girl wasted?
No, I didn't go that far. I just got black girl wasted, which is like
You get home safe.
you get home safe. You don't like get into the wrong Uber. That's like like that's
made it
like
home.
that. I mean, and I shouldn't joke about that because that's a serious thing and it's scary. But I just wanted to make sure that I was able to get home, so I was good. All right, guys.
We get World Star Hip Hop wasted.
Oh, okay. I don't know about that. I don't know what that is.
Watch World Star Hip Hop. You'll see.
Oh God, no. All right, so let's get into. Are you guys ready to politics?
Yeah, let's politics.
We got a lot to talk about. Oh my gosh.
So much.
So, Kyle, did you get a chance to read over some of these topics that we're going to talk about today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, cool. So the first topic we're going to talk about is Hillary Clinton. She did an interview with Howard Stern, and I guess basically she showed a more human side of her. Many people are saying she should have done this interview 3 years ago. Do you think she lacked personality while she was running for president in 2016, and fatefully why she lost? Do you think that this would have even impacted anything, or what are you guys' thoughts?
I think that hairstyle lacked personality.
I know. It was like flipped.
It was like a helmet.
You know, Hillary, I remember seeing Hillary in 2000 when she was running for senator. And I remember I was in high school and I was walking to high school and I seen her walking. She was like shaking everybody's hand. She shook my hand, whatever. And she had makeup on. It looked like it was like cake. Like it was so caked on. Her head looked like a big old head. Like I was like, yo, these are all these politics. Is that how they look?
I feel like a lot has changed in the past 3 years.
Thank God. But
you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what she could have done. She was trying it, right? She had the hot sauce in the bag. She was trying to get the Beyonce voters.
That's what I was going to say. She did that in 2016. Like, she went on the Breakfast Club. She went on, do you guys see Between Two Ferns?
I love
yeah.
Oh my God, I love him.
She doesn't have any person. She was so awkward. You watched the episode that Obama did with him, and it was
so
funny.
So funny.
Because Obama's like witty and can go back and forth.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't agree with him politically, but he has a good personality.
Right.
She doesn't have one, you know?
I'm still debating if Hillary Clinton even has a soul.
Okay.
Me personally.
All right. There.
Me personally. That's just me. That's
So
just
what do you
me.
think about Kyle? How do you feel about Hillary Clinton and like her running for president in 2016? What are your thoughts?
I think that she is just a terrible candidate. And Bernie Sanders got robbed of the nomination without a doubt. And it was the establishment that pushed her in. And I think she's going to jump in 2020 because who's in it? Like Bernie Sanders is kind of like fizzled out.
Yep.
Elizabeth Warren has a bunch of flaws and she's trying way too hard.
Pocahontas.
And Biden is, I mean, that guy can't say any. I mean, I don't even know. He's coherent.
It's funny that you said that because I've heard rumors that Michelle Obama may put her hat in.
Stop! Stop!
Yeah.
Don't do that.
I'm sorry. I just
stop.
You know,
Don't guess
I
it.
know.
Yeah, but I don't think she wants to. I don't think.
She doesn't
I don't
want
think
to.
She doesn't want to, but
She went
she's
through
feeling
so much drama.
Apparently, she's feeling the pressure.
No, but the establishment's
Yeah.
going to push her to do it, and she doesn't want to do it. That's the thing. It's like they're going to be like, "Well, you have to do it." They're going to push her to do it, and she's going to be like, "So." It's like
and they're desperate, so I know they're pushing her.
Yeah.
They're pushing Hillary's old dry raisin.
I don't think they're pushing Hillary though.
They're not.
We don't want Hillary.
People don't really want to see Hillary do it again.
No.
The people
for the
know.
third
I'm
time.
talking about the people know. The establishment, they'll push anybody in there that they feel they can beat Trump. And they still think she's obviously the better candidate than anybody's running right now.
What did you say, Kyle?
The problem with the Democrats that they have right now is instead of going with actual good candidates, they go with who these establishment people want.
Right.
And that's why Biden's leading in the polls. But he's going to get he's going to get decimated if he gets the nomination.
Oh God!
Could you imagine a back and forth with Trump?
Well, I can't. You can't say that because you're in Florida, so you might even hear this too. But people would rather trust, like people who are like fed up with Trump would rather trust a Biden before anybody else because they feel like he's someone that they know versus anybody else. They feel like they think all Democrats are socialists.
Yeah.
So they just won't
The problem is when he was younger, he could get away with some stuff. But he really looks like I almost feel bad for him because
I do.
He really looks like he's having serious mental
It's a mental breakdown, like in
Not dementia. Come on.
Yeah, dementia. Yeah, but not joking, but seriously,
I
no,
feel
something.
bad for him.
You feel bad for him?
Yeah, it's like watching a bad actor in a movie. Sometimes when you make you cringe when you're watching a bad actor, you're like, oh, it's not even affecting you, but it's so bad acting. You're like, oh, stop it.
You know what else? I will. Okay, we have to give Hillary credit though. Like she did open up. I mean, obviously, Shirley Chisholm, but she did open up. I think this round for more women to be comfortable to throw their hat in the race. And I think she just thought she could win just by being a woman and having a Clinton name, and that didn't work. But I wonder, in this context now, because Trump changed a lot. He changed a lot, right?
He blew it up.
Totally different. Blew up the whole thing. So I wonder now if she's more loose, would that have resonated then?
I think that we're seeing her now. It's in hindsight. My thing is, I was a Hillary supporter. I've always been a Hillary supporter.
I was not.
Oh, you weren't? Okay, so I was a Hillary supporter. I wanted her to win. I thought we needed a woman. I felt she was very qualified. She was overqualified. She's been in the office. Her husband. She literally is the reason why he didn't, when he got impeached, he didn't quit. She held it down. She was a senator. She was our Secretary of State. And I thought, what? What were you going to say?
He's a criminal.
You guys, I hear you guys.
You forgot to mention she should be behind Benghazi as well. You forgot to mention that.
Okay.
Yes, she
really
said,
is that what
was
we're
one
doing?
person that passed, and that she was, it was a tough time. But like I said, she's been in that room. She knows what she's doing.
I think she's highly qualified. And I voted for her at the end of the day.
Yes. Yeah. So, but I know that she's flawed. I know she was a flawed candidate, right? But I also knew that there were people that were even scared to, some people were like, even Republicans were like, I'm not voting for Trump. But they were like, I can't vote for Hillary. So I was
terrified the night of the election. I was like, if she wins, this country's over. I was really on that.
And you say never to say that. You say like that. You say that. Oh my gosh. You say that.
My sister's here right now. She would tell you, man.
What's in your cup? What is in your cup?
She was there. I have a witness.
Honestly,
I yelled out "Make America Great Again" when Trump won. I yelled out the window in middle Brooklyn.
Oh my gosh.
Yelled at the top of my lungs. And she turned and looked. When I turned, she looked at me and she's like, "You really think this is going to be a great president?" And she walks in the room and slams the door. And we didn't talk for a month and a half.
Oh, but honestly, the thing is, her personality was a lot. It was probably 30% of why people were like, oh no, because when she was up, even in the debates, she was almost she's a political nerd. She knows everything about. She knows stuff that's just so and I love what Howard Stern.
In it.
Yeah, but Howard Stern says something really funny. He says, he's like, you know what I wish you had done? I wish you had pulled out a map and told Trump to to point out where Ukraine is, or point out to where Georgia, the map, he wouldn't even know.
She was too busy trying to be presidential.
Right.
And what Trump showed us is that you don't need to be presidential. You don't even need to know how to read. You can be president. Okay. We listen. We throwing jabs. So hey.
How many books has Trump won? Who knows?
I mean,
or the deal.
But he did change the game.
Here's the thing. But This is what Trump changed. This is how Trump changed the people, and this goes for anybody in both parties from now on. I think He changed the game because he showed everybody that you can't really pander to people like Hillary nobody believes that Hillary Clinton walks around with hot sauce in her purse. Right?
Facts.
And so she's pandering to people to try to make herself look better, but she really made herself look worse. And he kind of showed everybody that, listen, as long as whether you agree with him or not, I think you can agree that he cares about the country.
He went to a church, a black church.
I don't agree with that.
I think he cares about himself.
He went to a black church. He went to a black church in Alabama and said to everybody up in there listening, "What do you got to lose?" Straight up.
Oh,
I was like, yo, we said that. I said,
that is a great political slogan.
And that's no, it's straight up because what he was saying was, you guys have done this for 60 years with Democrats, and look how bad your community has gotten because of Democrats.
But you know,
Give me a shot.
It's not just because of Democrats.
No.
Guys, we have to stop. This narrative is gonna start. It's gonna stop in 2020.
Yeah.
I'm changing that. I'm changing that because Republicans have been governors in these places that you guys talk about, and governors are the ones that have the money. Okay, and they're the ones who tell us, who say where the money goes. Florida. I don't think you have. When was the last Democrat you had as a governor? When was the last Democrat you have? I don't even think I remember one.
Charlie Crist. But
they have no state tax in Florida, by the way. Shout out to Florida.
Lucky them.
But when you say the governors have the money, what money are you talking about?
Well, they're the ones that allocate.
They have a budget, a state budget.
Compare the taxes in New York, compare the taxes in Florida.
For the state budget, that's fine.
Right.
But what programs are you talking about that the state government funds?
I mean, we can talk about New York in and of itself. New York funds all of the programs in this state. So like most of our money is state generated.
Yeah, like the subway, like for the MTA and stuff. Like I'm just talking.
And it runs really great, by the way.
Everybody uses the subway. Like we're going to talk about minority communities.
Okay.
And you're talking about like services. Most of those services are flowed through the federal government.
And Trump, donates NYSHA in New York City, and Trump donates. Trump has donated to NYSHA more than any president in American history. Where's it go, Democrat governors? Where's it go?
Okay, do we want to
talk about
Where's the money
going? Where's the money going? But you guys are responsible for the money.
Because we can talk about it.
Yeah, we can.
I just want to answer Kyle's what question, and I just want to say that the reason why I bring up this example of the fact that, because there's a narrative that Democrats don't do anything, but there's also the same narrative that goes for Republicans who haven't done anything either, that do things that are self-serving for themselves.
But Democrats haven't done anything the last 3 years, in my opinion.
I think the solution,
but a Russian hoax.
Opinion.
I think Russian hoax.
Congress has passed a few. They've been passing bills left and right.
Exactly. Killing babies.
Congress has passed bills.
Real talk. They passed that.
Can we? Sorry, guys. And moving forward, can we not just speak in headlines? No, seriously, because I want us to be able to have a civil conversation and really talk about facts and not just passionate
Post-mortem
opinions.
Abortion was passed.
No, that's
here in
the
New York
one
City.
thing. That's fine, but everything else has not been. So let's just really try to have a conversation.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's what I'm talking about with the state issue. I actually agree with you that it should be up to the states. I really do. But I think that most of the money that we send to the federal government, all the money, the Department of Education, HUD, all these
like I just mentioned, which is a fact.
All of these welfare, anything that has to do with welfare to the people, that should go through the states. And so if one state, like you're saying, is not doing a good job, they're gonna have nobody living there because everybody's gonna move to the states to actually take care of their people.
Like New Yorkers moving to Florida right now.
Exactly, and you see it. Look, California is a disaster.
See, that's not a fact.
That's a fact.
No, listen.
There's a record number of New Yorkers moving out of New York right now. That's a fact.
What's the reason behind that?
There's no state tax in Florida. You can buy a house in Florida for $80,000 with a yard.
So you've read statistics and data that has proven that the reason why people move out of this state is because there is no state tax in Florida.
That's one of the reasons. One of the reasons.
Okay, so let's speak in facts.
Okay,
that's a fact.
Correlation. That is a correlation. That is not the entire reason.
Please Google that.
So let's be clear when we're having these conversations.
That's one of the many reasons.
People are also aging out of this city. Okay, there's an accessibility issue.
One of the reasons.
Yeah, but that's not a good excuse that aging out because there's more people that are growing up and people aren't moving to New York.
Our population is still 8.6 million people.
Yeah.
Let's not get it twisted.
It's still very overpopulated.
I think the reason why they're focusing it is that there are rich people that are interested in leaving, millionaires, because they do want to avoid the state taxes. So we can be clear.
And we're also very thankful that Trump left too. We're very, very thankful. Thank you.
And a lot of black communities
She's
leaving,
also
by the way, as well. A lot of black communities leaving here as well because it's just the prices here. The tax,
unaffordable.
It's unaffordable.
It's
so I can't.
100%.
So it's not a rich people thing. It's people that don't want to pay a bunch of money for BS thing. That's
right, agreed.
Any American.
But the question still is when you say that Democrats have not done anything, you neglect that also Republicans haven't done anything, they've run. But it's, we'd have to literally break down every.
Trump has done more for the black community than the past 3 presidents.
Okay, are you talking about federal level then? Is that what we're talking about?
I'm talking about on any level you can imagine, just on a manhood level, on a federal level, on a money level, a tax level, any level you want to talk about. Trump has done more for the black community than the past 3 presidents.
Okay, I know.
No, it's real talk.
I know, but
what has the past 3?
We're not talking
about that.
We're not even we're not talking about. Okay. Yes.
We are talking about the black community on the show, don't we?
We do, but I'm just saying the question was because of what you said, right? Because you said.
But you said rich people, because that in those terms usually means white people.
No, I said millionaires.
Chris, hold on, Chris. Let me help you out. You guys are the 2 girls here are saying that
women. Come on, guys. Let's be respectful, please.
Ladies.
Because I don't want to light y'all asses up.
Ladies.
Go.
The ladies' argument is that. There's no just causation doesn't equal correlation doesn't equal causation, which is true in some sense. But then why are they fleeing states like California, New York, and going to states like Texas and Florida?
Why?
I think affordable housing is a real issue. It's a country issue. It's a nationwide issue.
That's not really a good argument because where I live in South Florida, it's not affordable.
But okay, are they all moving to South Florida?
They're moving to
we're moving to.
You're using your personal experience. What I'm saying is that affordable housing it's not about a good opinion. It's a fact. Affordable housing is a real issue that's going on nationwide.
New York is New York, San Francisco. It's pricing people out.
New York is not affordable. DC is not affordable.
Yeah.
These coastal cities are less affordable.
Democrats. What is the? Can't you see the common thing here?
But then make the connection for me. Why are these cities? Hold on. Let me ask my question. Why are these cities unaffordable then?
Because they don't cut taxes. They put their taxes in programs that don't work.
Really? Because that's not true. Because New York, actually, I don't know if you want to say Democrats, but they have all sorts of tax programs. And the ones that are actually benefiting most are millionaires, unfortunately, because they know how to manipulate the system. And so they are making it unaffordable in New York.
New York is doing that because if they don't give the millionaires tax incentives, they're going to leave and they're going to lose jobs. That's why they're doing it.
Agreed. That's a good point. Yeah, that's true.
Why do you think Amazon was going to get such a big break to stay in New York?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, no, but they're coming anyways.
There was jobs.
But New York is coming anyways.
They're coming in. They're Brooklyn. People keep saying that they're not. They're still coming. They're still building something.
They're still coming. They don't have the jobs, and when the jobs weren't just going to be 25,000 jobs all of a sudden, it was going to be over 15 years.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't just. It was going to be rolled out.
Okay.
And so we don't really know in 10 years what that was really going to look like in actuality.
Amazon can become eBay or
millions of dollars. And I'm just speaking facts. I don't have an opinion either way, honestly.
Okay.
But they were going to lose millions of dollars, and Amazon decided to come anyways with fewer jobs and without the city losing the money. Okay. So, these are corporate politics.
Guys, I love talking off the topics, but I want to. We've got a couple things we got to talk about. So let's just say that Hillary should have showed a little bit of personality.
We all agree on that.
Yeah, we all agree. Okay. So let's get into the I got to get into Chris's favorite topic, the Trump impeachment. So the Democrats announced the 2 articles of impeachment against President Trump, charging the president with high crimes and misdemeanors. The president,
whatever that means.
Yeah, charging him with obstruction of Congress and abuse of power. Quid pro quo or bribery wasn't included. Do you think this is now this question was kind of in hindsight. Now we know that today the House voted. Well, the actual committee voted, and now we're gonna go. I guess next week we're gonna have the actual all the 200 and some odd congressmen and women vote.
435.
Huh?
435.
400. Oh, why did I say 200? Okay, 435. Thank you for. So they're going to be voting. So, What do you guys think now? I mean, this thing. I mean, we kind of know it's Do.
It's a nothing burger in the word of my boy Jones over there. What's Van Jones?
This is what I find interesting. It's interesting that the whole time they've been talking about bribery and quid pro quo.
Right.
But that's not one of the things that they did. When in the Constitution, that's one of the two things that are specifically mentioned, and they didn't pick that as a.
I don't think they had proof to show that they could I think that.
Can you say that one more time? Can you say rerun that one word? Yes.
The proof? No, he didn't. No, because he doesn't. First of all, he's not. He doesn't want to. He doesn't bring his lawyer. We can't even talk to him. He won't come.
For
but
what?
That's the whole
for
thing
what?
with the Congress. What was
for
the?
What? I got to run a country. What do you guys have?
What
here?
did they charge him with?
Exactly.
With the Congress?
What did they charge him with? The 2 articles?
Yes.
High crimes.
And
well, it's high crimes.
Orange man bad.
Hold on, Chris. Come on. High crimes and misdemeanors, and abuse of power, and obstruction.
Obstruction of Congress.
So that's technically. Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, I was
helping
like,
you.
what should I say? Thank you. Well, you're the constitutionalist, so what's your
I really
breakdown
wanna
on
hear
this?
Let
I'm
him-
interested in hearing
his
you.
opinion on this matter.
So here's my opinion. Number one, obstruction of Congress is the most ridiculous thing ever.
Thank you.
He didn't even obstruct Congress. He said, you gave me a subpoena. I don't think it's legal. There's separation of powers. And he actually went to a court, and that case is still pending in the court for the court to decide whether he has to comply or not. So he hasn't even obstructed Congress, because you can fight a subpoena if you don't think it's lawful. Anybody can do that for anything. So that I don't know what the grounds for that are. And then the abuse of power, I don't know where that's at as a high crime or misdemeanor. So I'm trying to figure out what is the actual basis.
Well, you don't see that you don't understand why it's a high crime?
Nobody does.
Because it's not. What is that? You can do things. There's crimes that you can commit that are an abuse of power.
Right.
But abuse of power itself, that statement is not a crime. So you have to prove what was the abuse of power.
This is a good question. This is a good question.
Why didn't they actually say what the abuse of power was?
Right. So this is another question why with the Democrats, what they did with Mueller when they kept saying, what was the word, the collusion?
They love
when it was
the
like
words.
collusion is not like a real law, like a crime. Like stop saying collusion and start saying
Whistleblower, collusion. They love the little trigger words.
Yeah,
the
they put
Democrats
all
do.
these words. But here's my thing. Okay, so there's been I've watched a lot of news on this, and I think that where they get him is the fact that it's just really in the semantics of the wording that he uses.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he's including his personal lawyer. Like we all know he did something wrong. Like Republicans
Says who? You guys are saying, well, you all know this. If you do that, you say, oh, we all know this and move on. That means you're confirmed that whatever you just said before is confirmed. Now we're moving on from that.
No, I'm just saying.
Democrats like to do that. It's like, we need to get to the root. What is the law
root,
being broke?
Okay, so the law is.
I know quid pro is what they're
Quid pro quo.
Quid pro quo is what they're saying
Yes.
he did, but there was
That's
no
not
quid.
what they charged him with.
And of course they could, because there's no proof of that. So if there's no proof of that,
Well,
we need to stop talking about this and move on.
No.
Period.
Well,
But see, the Democrats can't do that because they need some kind of BS. So when the 2022 elections come, they can say, "Look, he did. Look. Why we have
I don't think it helps
because we have
them.
nothing.
It
We have no
doesn't help
policy.
them. It does not help them. You already know.
That's not helpful at
that does
all.
not help us at all.
It's politics.
That doesn't help.
They're playing politics,
Well,
and I'm like,
not
stop playing
necessarily.
politics and just come out with a good policy for the American people, and we'll vote for you.
Let's be honest. You're not. Well, I know you're not, Chris. But let me ask. You're not a little or the least bit concerned about the democracy of this country, and I'm just asking, just seriously.
I'm concerned in terms of the radical left. I'm concerned.
So that means Republicans and the right are perfect in following the Constitution.
I think old school Democrats and the conservative movement right now is totally fine. It's the radical left that's damaging a lot in this country.
I actually don't agree with that.
Okay.
I don't agree. This is why I think nothing's going to happen. So if I was in charge and because they're going to impeach him, right, in the House, it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
So it's going to go to the Senate,
Yeah,
and I
that's
think
gonna
that
be dead.
It'll be dead. Yeah.
I think so. In the House, they wouldn't even let the Republicans call any witnesses. So if I was running the Senate and the Republicans have control of the Senate, and I thought that they were like wholesome people who actually cared about the truth. What I would do is say we're going to have a regular trial with evidentiary standards, so no hearsay, no, and it has to be relevant. Like you can't call Ambassador Yovanovitch and she's going to tell you how she feels bad she got fired,
right?
Which is completely
that was
it's irrelevant to what happened.
I'm not disagreeing with them, you know.
So it like a lot of the stuff that was going on there was just irrelevant and hearsay, which you can't use, not admissible in court. So I would have a regular trial and say, listen, let's get to the bottom of what happened. The problem is that the Republicans aren't going to do that because I think some of them are wrapped up in it too. I think Mitt Romney's wrapped up in it. I think
you think Mitt Romney?
Yeah,
why how was he?
Definitely, I agree with him.
I thought it was Pence.
Mitt Romney wrapped up.
Pence was wrapped up into it, but I don't. How was Mitt involved?
He's well because he's a sketchy character, and then
definitely is. Mitt is definitely sketchy.
There's pictures of John McCain floating around with some of these Ukrainian people that are wrapped up in this.
The snitch.
And if John McCain's wrapped up in it, that means Lindsey Graham is probably wrapped up in it because they were
best friends.
And so a lot of these people, and Lindsey Graham's the head of the Senate Judiciary Committee. So a lot of these Republicans, I think, are wrapped up in this. To be quite honest,
I've heard that. I've heard that they don't want to come out.
This is a very interesting. This is fascinating. No, I never heard this.
I have heard this.
They want to get to the bottom of anything.
Okay.
No, I don't think they do because I think that it will. They'll hurt themselves.
It'll open up some more.
Yeah.
So it's like let's just crush
the president did anything wrong.
I think
so? Not at all.
But why? Why do you think that the president wouldn't be knowledgeable of any of these things?
But let's wait before you guys go into that question. What about the fact that the president is asking a leader?
To investigate
his you don't have like your own FBI and CIA that do like work. You're gonna ask another country.
He talked about the FBI to Putin, saying that he didn't trust his own, which to me is so scary. And just seriously, like this is a man, and maybe you guys trust Putin, but I do not. This is a man who wants to see the downfall of the United States of America more than anyone, in my opinion.
So you're supposed to beef?
He's avenging the Soviet Union. He's avenging the Soviet Union.
No, but it's about you're the president.
Hold on, but what does Putin have to do with
the FBI? Like you don't speak to your. Someone that wants to see you down and put down your own people that work for you. Like you're the president.
I remember when Obama tapped on the ambassador of Russia's leg that time before he got elected in 2012, got reelected. He said, "Look, I have more pull when I'm president. Once I'm reelected." That's suspect to me. That is collusion. Right there on video.
But see, you like to do this. You like to spin it to Obama without talking about what we're actually discussing, which is Trump. So, like, if you think that that's collusion for Obama, then wouldn't you agree?
So would you say that it's collusion for Trump? Is it collusion for Trump?
If you looked over back then,
Chris, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not saying that Obama didn't have collusion, but what I'm asking is, does Trump? Because if you think that was collusion for Obama, then you must apply the same knowledge to this situation, right?
And I say, where's the video evidence of Trump doing that? No, there's none. So I don't think Trump did it.
We know that there's never going to be video evidence, but we do know that he was trying to hide this.
Why not?
The way once it was done, they were trying to hide it. We know that they put it in a file.
What are you trying to?
The transcript they put it in a file. Like we know that was something. That's one of the conspiracy that we were like, well, why were you guys putting it in a secret file when it was like if it's
no hold on, they started putting the president has been suspicious of the intelligence community, rightfully so, because it's coming out now with the FISA warrants that the FBI literally doctored information to get a FISA warrant on Carter Page.
They wiretapped him, man.
And they were surveilling him. He was suspicious of them. So well before this Ukrainian conversation happened, all of the conversations with the president having with foreign leaders or anybody, because every phone call the president has is recorded. Right. So once the president got like weary of these people, he said, hey, they changed the rules and they started putting all of his conversations that were transcribed and everything into a separate file. It wasn't just this one phone call.
Okay.
It was all of his phone calls.
I can't say. It sounds plausible. Fine.
Google it.
I don't know it to be false. So I will take that.
And do you think that there was any collusion in any way? Do you think any of these actions have been problematic? Not in comparison to Obama, just as a standalone.
No, I don't think it's problematic. What I think is problematic is that the vice president's son was doing all this crazy stuff when he was in charge of
and then laughing about it. And he was joking about it to the media.
What was he doing? That was crazy.
So you don't think it's problematic that he asked him to investigate?
He was withholding money?
Billions. And he said, he joked about it. He said, I'm going to withhold this money from this until you guys stop investigating my son. Pretty much, I'm going to hold his money.
Oh, you're talking about Biden?
Hold
on. So this is what happened. He went to the Ukraine. They were trying to get some kind of a deal.
Who? Joe? Or who are you talking about?
Joe Biden and the Ukrainians. Joe Biden was there to
remember the guy was corrupt. That everybody said that guy was garbage, and they were trying to get rid of him. So this is not like something
hold on. No, yeah, the president. This has nothing to do with the president.
Okay.
Joe Biden went to Ukraine. He told, I'm not sure who he told there was the president or vice president at the time, who was corrupt. There's no doubt about it. But he told him, if you don't fire the prosecutor, who just coincidentally happened to be investigating Burisma, the company that his son was working for, who was getting paid like $1 million a year with no experience.
I don't care about that because nepotism is there's so much nepotism because there's so much nepotism in politics.
This is important to what
we
we're talking
literally
about,
have to. No, I'm listening, but I'm just saying him throwing that in. Listeners always remember there's nepotism everywhere in politics. So
it's
continue.
not a standalone issue.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kyle. Sorry.
I'm not saying anything about nepotism.
Okay.
So he says if you don't fire my son or fire the prosecutor who's investigating that company, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. And you can Google this because Joe Biden is on video giving this story.
Yeah, I saw it.
And he said,
joking about it.
Yeah.
You don't have the authority to do that. You're not the president. He said, well, call him. So he literally extorted them for $1 billion and said, if you don't do what I want you to do, and you have 6 hours, I'm leaving in 6 hours, then you're not getting $1 billion. Now that's problematic. And
that's very problematic.
That's very problematic. And the fact that, and listen, there is nepotism. There's no doubt about it.
Correct.
But the problem is it's not nepotism as his son got a job working as the pamphlet folder in his campaign.
We don't know this.
But no, I'm saying that's not the problem. The problem is he was getting paid by an outside private company from a foreign government.
A crackhead.
What was benefiting from Joe Biden being the vice president?
Well, let me just, when it comes to this nepotism thing, I honestly, I don't like it. I don't like Jared. I don't like Jared. But Jared doesn't have any. What is Jared? What if we're going to talk about that? Then we'd have to see. The thing is, there's so many cases where we can't. It's not a standalone case. I'm not. But I'm just going to tell you that.
But that's not nepotism.
But no, it is because if we're talking,
because Hunter Biden did not work for or under Joe Biden. He worked for a private company who was using Joe Biden.
So the word is not nepotism. Okay, you're right. So fine, that's not nepotism. Technically, you're absolutely right. It's not nepotism. However, he's using the family name to get a job where he's making $1 million a year. I don't see that as something that's that crazy because when I look at Jared Kushner and Ivanka, Jared is supposedly he's supposed to do the Israel. He was supposed to work on the Israel and what do they call it? The Pakistan? Was it Palestine? The Palestinians, and he was supposed to be the person that is supposed to, I guess, get them together, and nothing's happening there. And then now I think he's in charge of the wall now, and it's what gives him What gives him any right to do this? What are his qualifications?
But the difference is a foreign country or a foreign entity is not getting privilege because of that position. That's the difference. I agree with you.
You don't think they're getting privilege? You don't think that
a foreign entity is privilege? No.
I think. Well, okay. Well, maybe they're getting their.
I'm not a particular fan of Jared Kushner being in the administration.
Yeah.
But he's working for the U.S. and whether you agree with what he's doing in his position working for the U.S. is a whole different story.
Right.
Now, he was working for a company in Israel, and then that company in Israel was receiving benefit from him working there. That is a whole nother level of a problem.
Right. So,
but then, I was just going to say, I don't want to switch gears, but I think in that same way where we talk about the beneficiaries in other countries, it's the same thing here, right? Private companies in the United States are getting all sorts of benefits, but I guess that's okay because it's our country, right? It's not a foreign government or a foreign entity.
It's not necessarily okay, but in my opinion, if you're going to talk about a level of this is a problem,
top level,
a foreign entity is much more of a problem than a domestic one.
Well, what was his job? What was he supposed to do with them? Because
I don't even know. But I guess I'd be curious too. Then does that make it okay for our current president to then ask them to investigate into this potential presidential candidate?
Right.
What is it? Hold on. But what is the fact that he's a presidential candidate have to do anything? So President Trump was a candidate.
Well, because come on, hold on.
The FBI was investigating him.
Are we being naive though in having this conversation?
No. Ukrainian leaders are already complaining about America meddling in their situation.
It should be irrelevant.
But you know, America.
But come on, guys, you don't think that the thought was like, oh, this is gonna serve us for this election?
Like, I'll have this big piece of information.
No, not at all. I don't think Trump's.
You might be right. You might be right. No, you might be right that he thought it was going to serve him well. You're 100%. You could be right. The problem is when you say, well, he's a presidential candidate. So that means if I run for office, then I can't be investigated?
No,
that's not what I mean. That's not what you're saying.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
She's just saying, okay, so you can take that.
Too big to fail.
So then why do you say? So don't say.
I'm saying because it's serving the president.
But let's not even. Okay, let's take off the fact that he's a presidential candidate. If that makes you feel any better, the point is still: do you think that is right to go asking another country to investigate in stuff that you have your own, like you have your CIA, you have your own intelligence community that you.
Yeah, but they have to work together. We work together with foreign entities all the time.
That's what presidents are supposed to do. To go to a foreign entity. Instead of us using what we have, why don't you help us out? We can meet us halfway. That's what a leader does. And he's done what presidents done in the past.
So then my question
now it's a crime.
But my question is the fact that Congress already passed the funding passed that agreed it was a bipartisan that we're gonna give Ukraine this amount of money, right? Mm-hmm. So
aid
to fight off the Russians, basically. There's the Kurds. Was it the Kurds or the Russians? The Russians, right? I'm sorry.
Ukraine.
Yes, to fight. No, but we're giving the funding to Ukraine to fight off Russia. Yeah. So that was, I guess, annexing or taking over one of the parts of their country. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why I said Kurds, but so the question is for you is like, so if that's the case, like, I mean, I'm just trying to understand why he would, if you say, I mean, Biden did make a joke. We saw that video, right? But was this while he was in office, or was this after? When he wasn't in office?
No, he was in office.
He was in office. Okay, yeah. But now my question is, with this Trump, do you feel like? I mean, do you think there was anything wrong with that? The fact that he's trying to withhold money? Because if you feel like it's something wrong with Biden doing that, then if it's wrong for both of them, right?
Well, here's the difference. There's two things that are a little bit different. One is when Biden was president, the aid wasn't even for fighting Ukraine because Ukraine was annexed. Right. Crimea was annexed while Biden was vice president, and they did nothing. But number two, there was a memo that came out from the Office of Management and Budget.
Yes.
That explained that they were withholding this the Office of Management and Budget, who dictates or not dictates, but like the releases the aid, that they had going back to June 19th, so well before the phone call that's in question, that they were withholding the aid for a bunch of different reasons. I'm trying to find it right now.
Okay. They did. OMB can't. Yeah, no, I did see that.
At no point during the pause, the Defense Department attorneys can't find the whole. Let me try to find the whole memo. But it came out explaining why they delayed the aid and that it wasn't political. And this is memos that they were writing at the time, and like with no idea this was ever going to happen.
Right. I mean, I mean,
well, there you have it, folks.
I got to surmise this.
Here, hold on. Let me read it. It's a quote. The pause and obligation of the Ukraine funds at issue here is an example of programmatic delay. It was the OBM's understanding that a brief period was needed prior to the funds expiring to engage in a policy process regarding these funds. OBM took appropriate action in light of pending policy process to ensure that funds were not obligated prematurely in a manner that could conflict with the president's foreign policy. So they were the Office of Management and Budget or whatever I guess they're the ones that give out the aid.
Yeah.
They were doing it on their own. It had nothing to do with the president telling anybody to do anything. And these are like internal memos that they were sending back and forth, talking about like whatever problems that they thought were in play.
Well, all right. Final. I guess like thought on this.
I would just say that I don't think it's just a strategic move, and my question would become, now that we filed for impeachment, we voted on it, the House will vote on it,
right?
So if anything happens during his presidency, that's it. Like, they played their card. That's your card. That's it. So I just
a Joker card.
Yeah,
they could have impeached him for some other stuff
like
this.
No,
I mean,
but they couldn't.
No, not
but they had to.
They had nothing. They should have just.
But we have to say that you have to like flag stuff too. Like, I just don't know if impeachment was.
I mean, come on. You guys do Russian hoax for 3 years.
No,
now you go to Ukraine.
All right.
But we all
First you say he's Putin's puppet, and then he's running with Ukraine.
Listen,
You're his biggest enemy.
Let's hope that.
Thank you, Democrats, for that 3 years of that nonsense.
All right.
Now,
let's get into
give us Kamala Harris. Oh, she's gone.
Hey guys, it's Maxine here with a special message for our listeners. I want to thank you for listening to Politics Podcast and wanted to share an exciting offer to entrepreneurs and supporters. We are now offering businesses the opportunity to be advertised on our show during this mid-roll. If you're interested, please email hello@politicspodcast.com. We are also taking support from our listeners through the Anchor app. Just click the Support This Podcast button and you can give whatever you want. The funding is helpful to increase our production so we can add video and start marketing and advertising for our podcast. We appreciate you and please continue to listen to the show.
All right, topic 3. During NATO discussions last week, President Trump accused countries of not putting in their fair contribution towards NATO. United States has always contributed the most of all the other NATO members. I guess they don't even some of these countries don't even contribute 2% of their GDP. So Trump, my question to you guys is, do you think that Trump was right in calling these countries out for not spending more?
This is not a good episode for us. Dang it.
I know.
I was like, why did she put all these topics in one episode?
But you have to. One thing about us is that we have to be fair. That's why we have both sides. Like, we're not going to just I don't want to just sit here and become CNN or MSNBC or Fox News, that just focus on their side and their side alone, it's just, we've got to be fair.
So I have a lot of thoughts on this.
Please.
I think Trump is right. I think that other countries should be paying more. We just, we put in 3.4% of our GDP. Other countries, some of them put in 2%, some of them put in 2.5%, but majority of them put in 1.5%, averaging out. And, at the same time, we are the superpower. And at the end of the day, at least for right now, China is catching up, but we'll see.
Not without Navy, China.
And we do benefit from this. And I know there has been an increase in spending. This is the 5th year to see an increase in NATO spending by all of the members. So it's not to say that those countries aren't trying to pull their weight, but the countries do need to contribute more to their equipment. But I also think, just for perspective, Canada is one of those countries who just doesn't, cough up their amount. But I'm also it's Canada, fam. They haven't
fought anybody. Who have they really fought?
They ain't never gonna need this. They just here for the ride, But then at the same time, I think the one time, Article 5 has been after 9/11 to fight,
right?
Which supported the United States. So, and also to think about it, and something I've always mentioned,
and everybody did. That was one. Everybody coughed up the money because everybody was
everyone coughed up the money for us. We did benefit from that at the end of the day.
They better.
But then also you have to think about how we're positioned as a country. Our neighbors are Mexico and Canada, right? So us being friends and having these members, although, it's a treaty, we all have to agree to it, it does well position us for our superpowerdom, if we want to say, and to maintain our level of military enforcement. So I think the United States benefits a lot from this, but we do contribute the most.
Right.
I don't think he's wrong.
Can I give you guys a brief history before I ask you? I'm just going to give you a little brief history on NATO for those listeners who don't know even what NATO is. So NATO stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and it was reaching, obviously, its 70th birthday. That's why they were out there celebrating. They call it the Washington Treaty. It was signed in April 1949 under Harry Truman, at a dark moment in the early Cold War when Soviet invasion of Western Europe was not far-fetched possibility. The United States has always been the most powerful NATO member, and every American president until Trump has been the alliance natural leader. The London summit heralds one welcome change. Secretary General Jess Stoltenberg announced that NATO allies have all raised their defense budgets for a collective increase of more than $130 billion. That isn't obviously Trump is getting credit for that, but we also have to say that the fact that NATO allies started to spend more on defense following Putin's annexation of Crimea in 2014 during who? In 2014? who?
Our dearest beloved.
Okay. Whoever is running the country then. Okay. The allies, including Germany, Trump's favorite scapegoat, deserve the lion's share of accolades. Trump must share with credit with Barack Obama, under whose watch their great spend increase began. So
yeah,
So
it has been an uptick of spending.
Did you want to say something, Kyle?
No, I think that's pretty good. I mean, they should spend their they came to an agreement 70 years ago that this is what we're going to spend, and I don't know why it would even be an argument that they shouldn't spend that much money.
It's almost like car insurance. You just never know when you're going to get an accident. You got to pay your dues.
Happened? I always wonder about what happened to the NATO planes when 9/11 happened. Like, they were not there for. Like, they didn't come right away, like how they're supposed to.
No, they didn't. I never thought about that.
So what happened to that?
We're America and we're a superpower. We're the greatest. And everybody's like, they got to figure it out.
See what I mean? So it's like, I wonder how this, like, when do we get to...
But they came through.
They came through after. But I'm just saying, what happened? Like, the whole point of, like, isn't that why we're spending the insurance? Isn't this why?
I mean, yeah, no, that's true. And we have a lot of people in all different countries around this freaking world of Americans that are protecting the soil of others. So... Right. Yeah, I mean, this is a real
it's not really insurance for America. It's insurance for every other country in NATO.
Correct.
Really, truly, because they're using our military forces, our power.
Yeah, and our intelligence and everything. Yeah,
our equipment.
I mean, they also help us too. Like, this is how.
No, they do help.
You know, like, hello, we're still trying to fight the Islam, like the.
I mean, we don't know what could go down, you know. And again, like, we need to be in positions of power, and I think this allows us. It helps elevate our profile, and in positions as well. So,
America first.
But can we? I can't forget that they had that cafeteria moment, that schoolyard moment when the president of Macron of France, the UK the UK Prime Minister who just Boris
who got reelected,
who just was reelected, and I think Angela Merkel was there, and then I think who else was?
No, Trudeau.
Oh, Trudeau! Oh my God, our favorite, our favorite,
the biggest beta.
Oh God, don't start. Anyway, they were all laughing at our president. What are your thoughts on that? Quickly.
Well, I think it's funny that they're laughing at him, but they're betas, all of them, and it has like man or woman. They talk a big game, but when it comes down to it,
it's just respect, though. You know that they really despise this man.
No, they respect him a lot.
In real life, they want to say stuff to him, but the thing is, because we're America and we're the superpower, it's literally like. They know that we can even go, like, they could say the wrong thing and we can go.
I don't agree.
I don't agree with that. They respect Trump a lot. If you look at them when they link up with each other, look at their body language. 80% of communication is body language, and they look at Trump like he's their father. Like Supreme Macron.
Oh gosh, are you a psychologist now?
I do sales. I do sales. You got no body language, man.
Well, I mean, when he wasn't there, they were laughing at him. So
of course he's not there because he's your dad. Yeah. You know, he's out of the room. I'll beat him up. If he's not here, I'll beat him up. I'll kick his butt.
If Trump is
that walks in the room, they shut up.
You know, if he's a G like that, as everyone, you know, alpha, whatever, like, then take that on the chin and keep it moving. You know what I mean?
We are.
We don't have to care. We don't even have to acknowledge it.
None of my boys talking about Macron right now. I guarantee that.
Right,
that's a fact. That's a fact.
All right, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's try to grab two more topics if we can. Okay, so Kamala Harris. This should
be quick.
This is Kamala Harris dropped out of the election. Do you find that it was too soon for her to drop out? But there is a reason why I want to talk about this, because I do want to talk about the fact that she's dropped out before like any of these caucuses.
Because she had no chance.
Well, not just that, but not just that. Also, the other thing is that it also shows how much the Democratic institution literally can kind of like, they probably sat her down and like, okay, it's not going to be you, girl. We thought it was you, but we're
then
going
they
to go.
should sit down a lot of people.
Her she had the same problem we were talking about earlier with Hillary.
Okay.
With the pandering.
No personality as well. No personality.
She probably could have won. I think she could have got the nomination had she just been herself. The problem is herself is a person who's not really done much in her career. And so, like, when you're pandering, talking about, I was smoking a joint listening to Tupac when he had never even released a record yet.
Okay.
That was horrible. That was horrible.
But who remembers? Like, I don't even remember. I could say I was.
But if you're talking about, if you're running for president, you're talking about smoking.
No. Yeah, she was wrong for that. You were pandering. You were pandering because you needed to get the black vote. Like, everything.
That wasn't the way it was. It was dressed. The way DJ Envy asked her. It literally was like he inferred it into her conversation. She's like, of course I was listening. But it wasn't like she was saying, her story was Tupac and I was smoking and this.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that she was ever smoking at any point, even after?
I honestly, I don't even care if she was or not. Even if she lied about that, that's not a big deal to me. I really don't. I had other problems with her.
It goes to a character issue.
It does.
It goes to a character issue.
She's a politician. They all lie.
No,
every politician lies. You think Trump is Bible?
He stuck to his word better than any president I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm saying that's a fact. That's a fact.
No, but the difference is Trump has not told the truth about everything.
Of course.
No.
He stuck to his word the best.
They said there's like 12,000.
He didn't say one of the best.
He is him. The difference is he's himself, whether it's good or bad or ugly.
Well, let me tell you something. Let me say one thing, though. They do have a problem. Okay, so Kamala had a problem in-house where her advisors, like one of them, I believe was her sister, and I think she was poorly advised. I really do think that. Like, stuff that she would do...
Her advisor, what a terrible idea that is.
I mean, well, Trump has his family advising him. I mean, it's people do that. You know how it is. You know, nepotism. It's part of the political, like, I think it's also, when you think about it, it's like Trump says, Chris, aka Chris Trump. And when he says that, you can't trust people. So I can understand, like, if my brother is a lawyer and I trust him, I would probably say, hey, Chris, you want my brother's name is Chris. So I would say, hey, can you help me with this election? You know, like,
do you think that Kamala dropped out too soon? I'm asking you.
You know what? Here's my thing. I wasn't a Kamala fan, but now that she dropped out, I feel hurt.
Doing that. Why?
I feel so hurt.
Why?
I don't know. My girl.
It was never your girl, though.
I know, but now she is, bro. Like, I'm like.
I think that's so odd to me.
Is that weird?
It's a very odd thing. A lot of people are doing now. It's become a sexist thing.
Yeah, I'm like, wait,
I just don't believe any of it. I'm sorry.
No, but you have to understand that she didn't even get a chance to, like, it's like
she was still polling.
She was top 5.
She was 6%. She was still polling.
Right.
And she ran out of money.
Fought.
At the end of the day, she ran out of money. And that's just the reality. And if you're running out of money this soon, well then, boo, you're not going to make it. So that's where I'm like, I don't think it was too soon.
Why'd you get there in the first place?
Obama didn't have money either, and he beat Iowa.
Totally different. Totally different.
How's that?
Obama had the people, man. Obama had the people.
She is no
Obama had a personality.
In 07?
Obama had a personality in 07. He had a personality in 07.
You could not
Kamala is stiff. Nobody wants to vote for that. She's dry. She's boring. Go away, Kamala. Bye. Bye, Felicia. Bye.
Well, hold on.
Don't come back.
You know what I think is funny, though? After she dropped out, a bunch of the media started saying that it was a sex and a race issue, right?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, that was...
But you know the funny thing is this is the Democrat primaries. So what are they saying about the Democrat Party?
Oh,
okay.
shots fired.
I don't think there's anything wrong with
It's not even a general election.
Correct.
Shots fired.
I think you're absolutely correct.
Yeah,
what does it say about fundraisers? And
what does it say about funding and those
pointing.
donors and those super PACs? What does it say about that? Like, these super PACs are the ones that carry these presidents, these politicians.
That's why Democrats will never have a people's president, because super delegates. I mean, that makes no sense. That's why Bernie should have been elected. I'm not even a Bernie guy at all. No, I'm not sorry. I'm sorry, not elected. You definitely rephrase that.
The candidate.
He should have been the candidate for the Democratic Party in 2016.
And he would have won. Bernie would have beat.
I don't know if you. I don't say he would have won. Trump would have got him in the debates, man. Trump would have ripped him apart in those debates. I would like to see a Bernie Trump debate. I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
But when he got screwed, that was a big problem. When he got screwed, I got a lot of Bernie bros on the Trump train immediately after that, because I told them before it happened he's going to get screwed because he can't win the super delegates. And they were like, no, Chris, no, the people want him, blah, blah, blah. Super delegates screwed him. I said, what I tell you guys, like, Chris, you're right. We'll come on the Trump train. Let's get this guy elected in 2016. And we did that.
But you're right. You're right about the Trump train thing. And that's why I think Bernie would have won. Because two things happened. a lot of people went from Bernie to Trump because they didn't like Clinton. They thought that she robbed them. And then there was a lot of other people who just didn't vote because they didn't really want to vote for either one of them.
Also true.
Right.
I think Bernie would have won. I really do.
If there were
I don't know if he would have won, but I don't think people. I think that you have to understand that people found Bernie to be like a complainer. They found him to.
Well, also, I think in the same way that I think in the same way that a lot of left, people left Bernie to vote for Trump. I think there's a lot of moderate Dems who are not here for Bernie.
That's what I was about to say.
Who would have also gone that way. So I don't know.
I agree.
I don't know.
But Kamala, the only reason why I'm like starting to miss her now, and it's funny because I wasn't a Kamala supporter. Like my godmother is pushing. She's actually running. Was part of the campaign, and I just couldn't get behind her. And honestly, I think that she was mismanaged. I really do think
she was mismanaged, but I don't think this is the last that we'll see her.
Oh, no.
She will come back.
She could be a vice.
She could be a vice. I think that would be very smart.
I think that might be the play for them. Because
so we'll see.
We'll see. Or she'll be in someone's cabinet. Yeah. But I definitely don't think that I literally think that she lost her... like you said, she lost out on. She didn't get money, and she was like, you know what? It's time for me to.
At the end of the day, it comes down to the coins.
Right.
So yeah, she didn't have it.
If she doesn't get the nomination, is she up for her Senate reelection?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
She might have been like, I can't win the presidency.
That's true. I got to keep my seat. Yeah.
Maybe
she was primary.
Maybe talk to her sugar daddy and find out.
Okay, next topic.
Right.
So, last topic.
The Senate
reaches a bipartisan agreement to permanently fund historically Black colleges. This is a fun topic. I love these kinds of topics.
Yeah, me too.
And universities. I posted this on our Instagram account, and someone said they felt, and apparently this person was white. He said, well, white schools need to get funding too. Which brings me up the conversation that people always bring back. Do we feel like HBCUs should no longer exist and that PWIs accept all students? So what do you guys think? There's like two questions here, if you guys hear. The first question was just the whole thing. First, I want to just say to the person I replied personally from my account, and I just said, every school gets funding, federal funding. Like it's not just only for like they didn't just do this. Oh, let's help the black
and just the blacks.
Yeah, no. Every college school, everyone.
And the HBCU is
historically Black colleges. Thank you. Universities, historically Black.
Yes, they're originally created because African Americans could not get into the PWI schools, predominantly white institutions, and they still exist today.
But now, so the question for you guys, like, where do you guys stand with HBCUs? Do you think that
I'm on the fence a little bit? I mean, I respect that Trump's donated more money than any previous president in American history to HBCUs. I think that's I respect the man for that, and of course, being a member of the Black community myself,
right?
More power to you, Trump. But in terms of history, I don't think this country's in the same position it was when HBCUs were created. So I think we can at a time where we can have a discussion about do we really need HBCUs in 2019 and beyond.
Where do you stand?
Well, what do you think?
I just think everybody go what college you want to go to. You got good enough grades, go to college.
Okay.
What do we need to go? Oh, here's a black college for you. You're black. It's like, why do I need a black college? Why can't I go to Harvard if I got Harvard grades?
Okay, Kyle. Kyle, I want to hear everybody's.
Me too.
So this first of all, HBCUs, if they can exist for sure, why not?
Okay.
But number one is anybody can go to. You don't have to only be black to go to those schools.
Facts.
Like, you can be white and go there. It's not against the rules.
That's true.
So anybody should go to whatever college they want to go to.
They actually get scholarships because they're the minority.
Actually had to do that because then it's discrimination if they didn't. But continue.
Yeah, you can actually. I was my best friend. We went to college together. He's a black guy, and I actually proposed to him, and this was a little selfish. I was like, dude, why don't we go? Because I'm in Florida, so I was like, why don't we go to Bethune or FAMU?
FAMU,
and I can get a minority scholarship.
Okay,
you could.
And he didn't want to do it, so he had his own reason why he didn't want to go.
Where did you end up going?
We went to Florida Gulf Coast.
Okay.
In Fort So we went to college together. Okay. And I wanted to do it because I was like, man, I can get a minority scholarship and get,
Get your coin.
I was just trying to save some money, to be honest with you,
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And I can see that.
So,
but
I don't have a problem.
You're Hispanic?
Like a quarter.
Okay.
So it just stuck with me from my dad's side, and
Okay.
but I'm not a fan of any, because the federal government is just too big, in my opinion. And I don't think it's not the federal government's job to give money to any college, anywhere, HBCU, it doesn't matter, any college. If the state wants to give them money, by all means, the state can do whatever they want. I just don't think the federal government should be getting any college money.
I think it is a state, though. I think it's a state thing. I don't think it's if my memory serves me correctly, it's the state that gives the money, not the federal government.
Yeah, so then I don't see an issue. The state can give money to who to give it to.
And I just wanted to, just for the listeners who are like, who are probably on the fence, like, well, why do we need them? The answer is it's only 100 of them. It's 101 schools. It's not it's not hurting anybody.
No, I don't think it's hurting anybody.
It's historical.
But I just think, I'm a history guy, so history is great. Don't get me wrong. I love the history of it. But, I just think we need to get away from this thing in America where we do, I'm the black this, black that. Why can't we just be that?
But why
like
we
said,
are that?
I know. Exactly. So
and
let's
we're
be
proud
that.
of
Let's
it.
be that.
And so
people
we're
can tell we're black if they look
black
at us,
excellence.
unless they're blind.
Well, yeah,
so
but
if you're not blind, I'm
what
black.
About the fact that okay, so I went to a PWI, right? You definitely did.
Yeah,
you went to 2 PWIs, right? And these schools.
But I'm the child of.
Yeah. But you going to these schools is so like it's like a culture shock. It's like for a person of color going to these schools, like being part of the minority. Like in my graduating class, there was 8 of us that were minorities, and I mean 8 like Black, Spanish, Asian, like that was all of us. Like it wasn't like all black. It was like that's everybody, Dominican, whatever. All 8 of us that were graduating in my class, and it's a culture shock coming from New York City, coming from high school where it was mixed and stuff, having all these different type of friends, and now coming here, it's like it's a different world, And
TV show, right?
Hold on, there's also
a different world. TV show.
There's also if we're going to talk about history, then we have to talk about talk about legacy, right? So I did go to a PWI, and they didn't accept Black students until the 60s.
Right. 60s and 1960s?
1960s.
Okay.
And so they had all sorts of sit-ins and teach-ins, etc. And so when I think about legacy, I know that there are white students that went to the same university that I did that are able to benefit for generations, that have, libraries named after them, etc., because their grandparents, their parents all went there, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a legacy benefit that I will never be able to have because we just got in this joint. Right, so, when we're talking about this and we're talking about history, it's not equitable yet, right?
You can library named after you. You just have to give.
No, but you're missing my point. You're missing my point. We're talking about acceptance and legacy.
Yeah, remember, Black people.
Like my mom,
until the 1960s. Like that's
my parents were in the South in the 60s. I know all about the 60s.
This is right. So do you hear my point?
We're not living that. Thank God.
So it's not equitable.
So let's start building then.
But the fact that we're calling them PWIs should even say something. The fact that they're predominantly white institutions, they're still the numbers.
We got HBCUs. We got different.
100 of them. If
we got black this, we're gonna have white that. We're gonna have Asian that.
No, that's not it.
Anything you do, if I say, hey, I'm black this, people will say, okay, if you're black this, well, I'm white that.
We don't have to erase our blackness.
If you put race in there, it's gonna be a race division.
It's natural. Chris, you're missing the point. The school, the HBCUs were started because we weren't even calling it predominantly white. They were just colleges that said no to blacks. Like it was just like you're not going to college.
I know. My parents weren't allowed to some of the schools. I know that.
So
you will never benefit from any legacy, anything in that same regard, right?
By a liberal ran education system, I can care less.
Still, it's a great education.
Let me ask. So,
that's just one point.
If people go to school in a same ratio of the population, every college is going to be predominantly white because there's
more white people in America.
Okay.
White
20,
in America.
40, 20,
so that's number one. But number two is, and this is just a question, is having HBCUs, is it exacerbating the problem of minority students going to PWI, you call it that, and having more of a discrepancy in the population on the campus because a lot of the black students are going to HBCUs?
No, a lot of black students aren't going to HBCUs because there aren't enough.
I didn't
either. But
I'm
also
saying
just aren't enough for the black population.
Well, you said you're saying there's only 8 minorities graduated with you.
Right.
Now, would that be more maybe if there was an HBCU?
Maybe 25. Yeah, but you're right. But there's still it's only 15%. of Black people in U.S., right?
13.
So 13. So in that 13%, how many are?
Well, that's what I'm saying. No matter what happens, if it's only 13% of the population, which it is,
no, I know.
You're going to be outnumbered no matter what happens.
And honestly, I enjoyed my experience because I learned from people. I enjoyed it. I have friends to this day. That's not the problem. The point is, these schools are historical in nature. They came as it was a need for these schools. These schools are rich in our legacies and
our history, our culture.
There's so much why they're the Harvards they're our
Howard
IBDs.
is.
Howard
Corporations go to Howard and they look at the top 10% of those graduating students,
right,
and they see who they want to hire because they know that one, they need diversity in today's world, and that they can go to Howard and get the creme de la creme of this populace. So that's where I'm like,
I actually kind of wish I went to a HBCU.
Let's get to the bottom of it though. If we got rid of HBCUs, college marching bands would all suck.
I mean, facts. Absolutely.
And on that note,
Beyonce would not have had Homecoming.
That is perfect. Thank you, Kyle. Kyle, we are actually this is the end of the show.
Kyle, you've been amazing.
Yes,
this was really
you're good stuff, man. You got a lot of truth you kick, man.
I hope you have fun.
I hope you'll come back.
And Kyle, really quickly before you
I had a great time.
Before you leave, can you explain what a constitutionalist is? For the listeners, please.
Yeah, we were kind of trying to figure that out.
So what I believe is that we should be going based off the Constitution for our government, which would be massive reduction in the federal system. Like there's whole institutions, and I always harp on this one, so people listen to my show are gonna be like, "Oh, I heard this 100 times." But the Department of Education, this is literally what they do. They take federal tax dollars, they collect them in a big pool. Then they pay a bunch of bureaucrats who don't even know what they're doing. They probably can't even put their underwear on the right way to determine what the curriculum is going to be for every school in the nation and what schools are going to get what money. And then they extort them and say, if you don't do what we want you to do, we're not going to give you this federal funding.
It's 10%, but yeah.
It does, yeah, but it doesn't matter. How about instead of taking that 10% from me, send it to the federal government and then sending it back to my local school district. And this goes for everybody. How about my local school district? I get to keep that tax dollars from the federal taxes, and then I get to give it directly to my school board. And then the people in that community, whichever community it is, can dictate how their children are being taught. Because the federal government
I wish we would have had this conversation before, because this is actually not 100% how it goes down. They do that so that they can standardize some norms across the country. Because actually,
but why does it have to be standard? It shouldn't be standard.
Because we want to know the level of education. So you want to be able to measure how students are gaining educational attainment. So you don't want one state to say that, oh, you're a 12th grader, you've graduated, you have this norm, and then another state to be way behind this state because they made up their own curriculum and rules and how they want to measure their educational attainment.
Do you know what would happen? People who lived in states that had a lower standard would not want their kids to be stupid, and they would move.
Well, that's not the case right now, Kyle.
I'm going to homeschool my kids.
Shout out to homeschoolers.
Shout out to homeschoolers. I'm here for them too. Seriously.
And think about this. So they give a school 10% of the budget.
But just so we're clear, that's how they're able to control states. And I do understand as a constitutionalist where you would have an issue with that. But they leverage that 10% to be able to create norms and standards to be able to measure nationally student achievement and educational attainment.
Right. All right. Well, you know what? This is a good topic. We have to bring you back on for this.
We'll have to have a whole state ed conversation.
We're going to have to add this into the topics because I'm actually uninformed in this particular conversation. So
my thing is, I just don't think the federal government should be involved.
I mean,
as a constitutionalist,
our country was set up. Our country was set up for states to have autonomy,
right?
And that's why they had to write They literally wrote the Federalist Papers to convince the states that we needed a federal government.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
And now we have a federal government dictating to the states what's going to happen. States have lost their autonomy.
This is real talk.
I think this is weird because
I think about the 60s and I think about segregation. Like, there's so much more I want to ask about this. So let me hold off on this because we need to bring you back on the next.
I'm really curious about this. Yeah,
I'm down.
There's definitely some stuff that we have to talk. So we're gonna end here. It's just politics as usual. Thank you all for listening to Politics Podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit subscribe, leave a comment, Let us know what topics you want us to hear and talk about next. You can email us at politrixpod@gmail.com. Thank you to our guest, Kyle. Kyle, say your podcast again. Your name of your podcast?
Slightly Sophisticated.
Slightly Sophisticated. And definitely check out Slightly Sophisticated. I'm sure we'll have him back on. Thank you again.
Absolutely.
For
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It was a good time. I had fun.
Awesome. I'm Kirsten D on Instagram.
I'm at Miss Yaya on Instagram.
Just hit Christopher right on Google. You'll see me.
What's your Instagram, Kyle?
The show is Slightly.Sophisticated.
And we are out. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great week. Bye-bye.